Hello and welcome to Joy of Books with me, Miss Joy. Today's literary offering is the Katherine Paterson book, Jacob Have I Loved. This fiction book was released in 1980 and contains 216 pages. Sharing his views on the book today is author and teacher TC.
Well, I did not think that I would enjoy this book at all. However, I'm delighted to say that I was joyously proved wrong. This book is really well written, and this is the main reason that I just could not put this book down. It tells the story of this Sara Louise, this girl from a small fishing family in an isolated fishing island off the coast of Maryland. I think it's Rass Island, I think the name of it is. And I really like the very impressive descriptions of the place. One absolutely astounding aspect of the book is the attention to detail in the conveying of the act of fishing there and the kind of market trade in there of the produce that's made in the water there. Really reminiscent of books such as The Old Man and the Sea, for example, in terms of the clarity of the description. The young Sara Louise is portrayed as this fairly astute and intelligent young lady. In fact, her father is also a very hard-working fisherman. The mother was an intelligent teacher, although the grandmother is quite nasty religious zealot, if you like. Religion is prevalent throughout the novel, by the way, and if you know your scripture, you'll know that the book's title as well is coined from that, Jacob Have I Loved. So it's a coming of age tale, this one, as Sara Louise struggles to cope with the popularity of a younger sister who's kind of the favourite, and she's blessed with good looks and wonderful singing ability. And throughout the book, Sara Louise is constantly seeking the affection of her parents. She kind of finds friendship with Cal, this kind of overweight and bespectacled fishing companion. There's not many males on the island, so it's kind of hard to find a mate. Some of the female characters, for example, they end up alone and childless and never leave the island. So there's quite an interesting take on island life in that period, which is the 1940s, so kind of right in the middle of World War II. The news of the Pearl Harbor bombing actually is reported in the book, and the way that they gather around the radio to hear the news is quite interesting, especially to a modern reader in that time back then, without internet and so forth. Quite quaint. I think that's the word that I would use to describe it. Sara Louise is quite intelligent and astute, despite the kind of hang-ups that she has regarding her family. Her sister, for example, is the favourite and blessed with good looks and a wonderful singing ability. So Sara Louise is constantly seeking the affection of her parents. Her only friend is Cal, this overweight, bespectacled fishing companion. And it's quite interesting, really, that there aren't many men on the island, so it's kind of just assumed that these two will end up together at the end of the book, although that does not happen. Another person who is in the novel is this Hiram Wallace, who's this old guy who left the island many years ago in disgrace, but he actually returns to the island to the intrigue of the islanders. So a lot of the book centres around him. Now, one bad thing I would say is that Sara Louise has a crush on him. Now, I'm not really sure the relevance of this. I would admit I found it quite unsettling, the age gap, which must be close to 50 years. Yeah, it didn't really sit well with me, that part of the book. And it's a shame, really, because it was the only part that didn't sit well with me. Everything else was delightful, I would say. Well, although something that's not so delightful is a hurricane that destroys Hiram Wallace's house. So he ends up actually moving in with Sara Louise's family, but of course very, very awkward. This younger sister, Caroline, gets a scholarship to sing in New York, in the theatre there. Cal goes off to the army. So again, this coming-of-age drama continues to entertain the reader. Cal then returns, but much to the chagrin of Sara Louise, Callie is actually engaged to Caroline. He'd been seeing her in New York. So there's these little twists and turns. Through the eyes of the character of Sara Louise, you get the idea that maybe she's been a bit hard done by, perhaps, but of course there's that biased narrative voice there. Eventually, Sara Louise, desperate to leave, demands from her mother that she's allowed to leave. Her mother kind of replies, well, nobody will stop you leaving. You're always welcome to leave. So with that in mind, she eventually applies for a medical college, overcoming discrimination, and she ends up getting her dream job, which is this kind of posting out in a mountain backwards in America, and that's where she ends up finding a family. And I don't know what it is, but I really did enjoy this book, and I don't know if I'm really doing it justice in what I'm saying here, but it's the idea that people are free in life, but they kind of get bogged down by the minor details, and people forget that it's a big wide world out there, many cities and countries to travel to, and sometimes people just stay in that small town mentality, feeling that they're trapped when really, the door is wide open. But like I say, the message is clear really here. Sometimes you have to just look a bit harder for that route to that door to escape that one place in your whole lives. And what is it that keeps you in that place? Is it fear? Is it familiarity? What is it that makes us stay in one town for the whole of our lives, or what makes us scared to uproot and go somewhere else? It's one of those books I couldn't quite put my finger on why I enjoyed it. So I couldn't put it down. I was always looking forward to reading the next chapter, and it's unusual because if you're looking at the main character, like a kind of a boyish young girl who's working on these small fishing boats, there shouldn't be anything in this story really for me to to enjoy, but I found that I struggled to put it down. So I have to give great credit to the author, Katherine Paterson. I certainly would now look at some other books by her and have a look at the back catalogue, because I would certainly recommend this book.
Well, thank you very much for your review of the book, TC. It is clear that you really enjoyed that great book. Katherine Paterson's book, Jacob Have I Loved, is available from all good book outlets. Thank you for joining me, and please remember to like and subscribe to Joy of Books.